There are 10 basic principles of economics that we will study in this chapter. These principles are shown in chart number 2.1. Some of these principles are related to individual decision making, which are 4 in number. And there are some principles that pertain to interacting behavior of individuals. And finally, we have 3 more principles pertaining to working of an economy as a whole. So we'll start with principles of individual decision making. As far as individual decision making is concerned, there are 4 principles. The first one is people face trade-offs. When you devote more time to study a particular subject on the basis of comparison of difficulty levels, you will be left with less time to be spent on other subjects. So there is a trade-off. In modern society also, you remember that when we had COVID-19, which was followed by lockdowns, we got clean environment for several weeks or months, even in the urban areas. But that was at the cost of income, because the productive activities are held up. So society has to face a trade-off between clean environment and income. There are many laws that require firms to reduce the pollution, but that raises the cost of production of goods and services. And when the cost is high, definitely earning will be low, because earning or profit is the difference between revenue and cost. Our society also faces trade-off between efficiency and equity. Under capitalism, where all resources are in private hands and there is initiative and we strive for profit maximization goals, there is maximum efficiency, but it has demerits of inequalities. So efficiency and equity comes with trade-off between them. In the socialist economy, where all the resources are in government hands and the goal is public welfare, this economic system ensures the equity, but at the cost of efficiency. Principle number 2, cost of something is what you give up to get it. If you attend this session, its cost will be what you give up to get it. It is here that the concept of opportunity cost emerges. This cost is not actually incurred, but would have been incurred in the absence of employment of our own factors of production. And since this expenditure is not currently incurred, we often ignore this cost and we do not record it in the books of accounts. This is the reason why sometimes we are not able to understand the importance of attending these lectures, because the opportunity cost of these lectures is very high. But since the expenditure is not currently incurred, we ignore the importance. John Robinson calls this opportunity cost as transfer earnings. Transfer earnings is the earning which you could have got if you sacrifice the current activity. Suppose you do not listen to these lectures, you could have got something else. You could have even secured the alternative job. So opportunity cost is also known as alternative cost. This concept is very important for every individual, every firm, every industry, and even the whole economy. Every action that we take will involve opportunity cost. For a student, the cost of having entertainment with a movie may be the book whose purchase is sacrificed. For the consumer, the opportunity cost of purchasing a commodity is the price the consumer actually pays in monetary terms. For the government, when a college is being built up, we may be sacrificing the hospital, which could have been established at that place. So that is the opportunity cost of a college. In case it is the best that you have sacrificed. For the society, cost of setting up arms factory may be the bread and the butter that we sacrifice. When you have studied production possibility curve, you must have come across a choice between defense and civilian goods. Now, since factors are limited in supply, these can be utilized in one use by sacrificing its use for other purpose. If we are using at present, we are sacrificing its use for future. So more civilian goods can be purchased and produced at the cost of defense goods. Similarly, more consumer goods can be produced only at the cost of the capital goods. That is a choice between present and future. Because when we produce more consumer goods today, we are not able to produce capital goods or producer goods today. And these capital goods will not be available in that abundant in future to produce consumer goods. So we have to reduce the consumption possibilities for future if we want to increase the consumption possibilities at present. Next principle, principle number 3, rational people think at the margin. This principle is very important and you must have studied it, you must have applied it in the 11th or 12th class. You must have used the principle of marginal utility, marginal cost, marginal product, marginal revenue. So this principle says that we think at the margin. Every rational decision maker takes an action only when the marginal benefit of that action is more than the marginal cost. Here we use the concept of marginal changes to describe small incremental adjustment in an existing plan of action. A producer will decide to produce additional units of a commodity when addition to the revenue, that is marginal revenue, exceeds the addition to the cost, that is marginal cost. Now these marginal decisions also explain as to why water is so cheap and diamond is so costly. One of the reasons is water is available in abundance, but diamonds are scarce. But prices of both are decided by their marginal utilities rather than total utilities. Principle number 4, people respond to the incentives. We have experienced that when we students are informed that they will not be given attendance for a particular session, particular class, we find very thin attendance of the student in that session. That means in general, people respond to the incentives. And for this purpose, they compare cost and benefit of an action. Now, when the price of a product rises, people decide to purchase less of it and more of something else. Because due to increase in the price of the product, you get less incentive by spending a given amount on the product, because the unit cost of the product goes up. Similarly, a firm producing a product would like to produce more of it when its price rises. This is the reason why demand declines while supply rises with increase in price of the commodity, because both consumers and producers are responding to the incentives. Even when tax is imposed on a commodity, the effective price of the product goes up. That discourages its consumption. While when some subsidies provided by the government in the form of reduced price, consumer purchases more of that commodity. Now we discuss three principles under interacting behavior of individuals. So here the first principle, that is in all, principle number 5, trade can make everyone better off. We all know that trade is based on the principle of specialization. Under trade, whosoever is more efficient or cost effective, that particular individual or firm will produce more quantity of the product, and the surplus is going to be sold off. That means there is going to be trading for other product in which that individual or firm is not as efficient. So trade between different countries make every country better off, and the country is able to consume variety of product, and that too at a much lesser price than even sometimes below the cost of production. Principle number 6, markets are good way to organize economic activity. In every market, decisions like what to produce, how to produce, which firm to work for, what to buy, these are taken by firms and households rather than by the government or central planning authority. All these firms and households interact in the market for their self-interest, while buyers are concerned about the price to determine as to how much they are going to demand. And similarly, sellers will also look at the price in order to decide as to how much they will be offering for sale in the market, that is supply. The decision that buyers and sellers make on the basis of the price reflect the cost as well as value of a good to the society. Next principle, principle number 7, government can sometimes improve market outcomes. You must be knowing that in economics, we assume free market economy, that is capitalism, which implies that everything is decided by market forces of demand and supply. So there is an automatic price mechanism or market mechanism which will decide the price at which the commodity or service is going to be sold. But sometimes this price will lead to injustice in the economy. It is here that the government will implement various policies and influence the price decided by the market. So there is intervention of the government, sometimes to reduce the price by enforcing maximum price control, sometimes to increase the price by enforcing minimum price legislations. You must have heard about price control, rationing, which sometimes also leads to black marketing. When the goods are made available through the fair price shop at much lesser price under maximum price control. Rent control is another example. Because of huge population in the country, the tenants are able to get houses at low rents because of such policies of the government. Similarly, the government also goes for Minimum Wages Act for the workers and minimum support prices for the farmers. The objective is to allocate resources efficiently and to ensure prosperity in the economy. It also ensures equitable distribution according to the ability of the people. We have now the third category of principles, working of economy as a whole. There are three such principles. Principle number 8, country's standard of living depend on productivity. We find variations in the living standard of the people in different countries. And the major responsible reason is differences in the productivities of the people in such countries. Growth rate of productivity also affects the growth rate of the income of the people. This is the reason why policymakers make attempts to raise the productivity through education, training, and development. As a result of which, they will also have an access to the best available technology. Principle number 9, prices rise with excess money supply. Do you remember that? I gave you an example that suppose somebody finds 50,000 rupees lying on a road. That person becomes richer at the cost of some other person who has lost this money. So this is something which is true about microeconomics. But this fact cannot be extrapolated for the macroeconomics. If the government creates or prints money and distribute the same to all the people in the country, there will be fall in the value of money because of excess money supply, and this will also lead to inflation. Last principle, society faces a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. In case we want to overcome the situation of unemployment in the economy, that is, more and more people should get the jobs, it is only possible at the cost of inflation. We all know that inflation is the result of high demand, and because of more demand, the firm would produce more goods and services, and so more workers will be hired, and so this helps in eradicating or reducing unemployment. So when there is inflation, there will be more production, more workers will be getting jobs, so unemployment will be reduced. But when we want to reduce the inflation, then the demand will come down and it will discourage the production by the firms. And so this will lead to unemployment in the economy. So we have to bear this trade-off between inflation and unemployment. In case we want to overcome unemployment problem in the economy, it can be only at the cost of inflation.